Let me check. Hello, world.
Hello, world. Good morning, good evening, good whatever frame of reference you use.
Good. What
Um,
is time? We don't know.
we don't know. We just exist on the blockchain. Um, Good to see everyone, although it's always strange to be posting on Twitter because I don't know if anyone's actually there.
Who
But
do we see?
who do we
Hang on,
see?
let me.
Should we see? Should we wait? Okay, we got 7 viewers. Hello, 7 viewers. How are you? Um, let's hope that that expands and grows.
Oh,
Um, awesome. Cool. Maybe we'll wait a
fabulous.
couple minutes for people to show up. You think? Sound good?
I think we could start.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Um,
people kind
well,
of come in and out, so
yeah, that's
um,
true.
let me just welcome people. So, welcome, hello. I'm so glad that you're doing great, Flicky McDicky Crypto. Good morning. I'm glad you're having a good lunch. Hello, Arcano. Um, Hello, welcome. This is the Penumbra community call. We have it every other week. Mainly, we have on one side here representing Penumbra Labs, we have GAR, who are the development entity of Penumbra, the super geniuses over there. And then we have Radiant Commons, also full of super geniuses, I might add, who are the go to market entity of Penumbra. And here we are to come together to share what is happening, what is going to be happening, and also to hear from you. So I know, Park, you have quite a lot to share. There's been a lot
Quite a
going
lot
on
to
in our
share.
greater ecosystem. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the mic, and then Gar, you're going to be sharing some updates later. So I think it makes sense to do Park for a little while. Gar, you kind of hang out for a bit,
Yep.
and then we'll get to the Prax Law version 2 and all that good stuff. I know.
Sounds great to
Fabulous.
me.
Cool. Okay, you have the floor, Park.
Hi everyone. It's another cool week here in crypto land. Obviously, like a lot has gone on both within and outside of Penumbra in the last couple days. So it's always good to circle in and talk about what specifically is happening in the Penumbra ecosystem. I think one part that is worth mentioning, right, is that we want to pay some sort of respect and tribute and appreciation for the founder of Penumbra, making the decision to step back and kind of focus on his mental health. He's the one of the original majority contributors to the source code of Penumbra and on the Penumbra Labs team, CEO of Penumbra Labs as well, which is the team that built all the software that validators on the network run. So I think this is a good moment to actually kind of just maybe even pause and say, something really important in this industry is that like it is 24/7. And as a result, it is extremely exhausting. It's an exhausting industry. It's something that like really can grind at people. And but more importantly, what this means is really you have to prioritize rest. And so like there's kind of an important element here of like appreciating that someone put so much effort into this, and that Henry's effort into this project is really what has produced Penumbra and made Penumbra possible. So for my part, I just want to like express that on the part of like us being um, you know uh, a community vector here at Radiant Commons, and appreciating that Radiant Commons is like trying to continue to promote the use of a technology that doesn't go away just because the person who created it or created the software for it has made the decision to sort of step back. I'm very excited about that because what it actually means is it proves the point, right? That this technology is permissionless and that the network doesn't like suddenly evaporate just because one person who has been contributing to it is no longer around. And that's proof that there's proof in the fact that the network is still moving. And in fact, if we really want to like look at our roots and understand where we're at, like Henry had no part in getting the network online. The software was like an important component of what was brought to what has been brought online, but the validators themselves made the choice to adopt this software and are now running it. And we see now a network that has a private economy running on top of it that does not care about the surrounding environment. It is right now, at its current juncture, a network that is running independent of anyone's opinion of whether or not it should be running. So kind of an exciting thing to think about. So alongside that, what I kind of want to turn to and talk about is like what has Penumbra been up to this point, and what can it be next? And with this, I kind of want to point to a post that I just put up in the forum. I'm going to hope that it doesn't bork on my way there. Here we go. And this is a forum post that I just put up. This piece was written in partnership with a lot of others. It is, an expression of an opinion and potential direction that Penumbra can take. We've talked about this on these community calls before. So this is something really important that I want to emphasize, is that this is not the first time this has been brought up. And because of that, it's kind of importantly something that the aim here is to develop it. So the point of this post is to sort of talk about where things are right now and where they can be in the future, and acknowledge that what was created in Penumbra coming into existence was the foundation for what can become in the future. So understanding that there has been this kind of list of requirements that have been gathered from the development of cryptocurrency up to the current point, and just that these requirements have been expressed in the form of other blockchains and other technologies that have developed in and around the cryptocurrency industry, around digital economy and digital assets. And Penumbra is sort of an understanding of all of those experiments brought into material. And so the question here becomes okay, now that Penumbra is real and that people can interact with it, right? What does Penumbra become? If the vision of cryptocurrency was to create unstoppable private money, and this was originally expressed in the Cypherpunk Manifesto, did we actually sufficiently understand what that meant in the long run? And my kind of contention is that over the course of the last 16 years up to the present point, the answer has kind of actually been no. Creating private money was made possible through the creation of Zcash in 2016, some 8 years after Bitcoin was created, and about a year-ish after Ethereum was created. And the understanding of this cryptocurrency made available to people is that, okay, well, people can transact privately using Zcash, but it didn't become the entirety of the crypto economy. And the question has to become, why is that? And there's a variety of reasons, right? We had this development of programmable money that came off from Ethereum and surrounding protocols, trying to come up with other virtual machines that are built on the foundations of cryptocurrency and off of the cryptography that blockchains use. And so I think that over the last 16 years, there's been this steady discovery of new requirements for what it means to have cryptocurrency, and crucially, not necessarily private cryptocurrency. A foundational part of all of crypto is that right now it is all public. And I actually don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's maybe a contentious thing to say as someone who's representing a privacy protocol, but private, where you really want the locus of privacy to start is not necessarily at the systems level, but at the level of individuals, right? So this is what Penumbra offers, is the understanding that over the course of all of the development of cryptocurrency up into the present era, there's been kind of this continuous discovery of all of the requirements of what a user needs in order to interact with the world around them. And these requirements are kind of more akin to the idea of an unstoppable private economy. So where you allow an individual to interact with its surrounding ecosystem, that individual should have full autonomy and full privacy. But a private economy is actually like a public system that allows individuals to hold on to their privacy as they interact with that surrounding system. So my thought here, my proposal, and this is what I would love to have people interact with and respond to, is to develop on this. If Penumbra exists now, what are the next steps from here? What is it that that comes from this? And if there's like 3 principles to what it means for there to be a private economy, it needs to start with the user. Money, its owners, and the transactions should be allowed to selectively reveal themselves to the world. And then users should be allowed to engage in digital speculation of whatever sort they'd like, to use any currency they want to, and then all of the technology should be compatible with one another. And then finally, and I think this is actually really where Penumbra is going to shine, and where it is that I believe that we can kind of move things forward as an ecosystem, is that there should be no or as minimal possible a trade-off between the domain of a user's privacy, and its interaction with public technology. So I could go on at length and kind of just go through this entire forum post piece by piece, but the point of this is that Penumbra should act as an account layer for all of crypto. This is kind of my hope of what it is that we can see moving forward, is that Penumbra is very well situated to, because of the way that the technology is built, stay as close to the user as possible and provide kind of that like layer across all of the accounts between different ecosystems that allows a user to experience privacy while still maintaining a level of transparency across the entire economic system that exists in and around them. And there's a lot of advantages to this. And I talk about this a little bit in the forum post, and it's something that I can go into detail here as well about, which is like actually like having a public economy at scale is pretty good because it creates accountability. And this is some of the original intention around Bitcoin. Like, and where there's this tension is like you as an individual using Bitcoin as a user, your experience of Bitcoin is not private, right? But and the reason for this is that the entire system can be tracked back to its any individual account's like first move. So you can see all the asset flows and you can see their owners. What's important is that that initial layer should not have that trade-off. It should be that an individual has the ability to hold on and retain their own privacy while still having the entire system hold itself to a level of accountability. And so my contention is that Penumbra can act as an account layer for crypto by providing this user level privacy that allows the rest of all the systems that interact with Penumbra to benefit from this at the local level. So all of these broader economic regimes and functions and technologies that continue to be developed can benefit from just like allowing users to interact with their networks and everything they build with Penumbra kind of just sitting at the account level. And there's already a ton of progress that's being done in this direction, both through improving the user experience itself and then improving the UI, user interfaces of Penumbra. But also, it's going to require a lot of backend work, which is something that like my hope and desire in expressing this is that Penumbra can become the foundation of private economy. And private economy should be defined on the basis of what it means for there to be private individuals with a public system. I think the most important part to like really understand here is that Penumbra's anonymity set, right? The piece of technology that sits at its core that provides people with the foundational privacy that they can use to interact with other ecosystems. It's a tool that can be built as a part of an individual's sort of technological stack when they make the choice to interact with everything else. And the goal in my mind is that Penumbra can move toward a position of being kind of like a default part of a user stack when you decide to build everything else out. So an important part that I just kind of want to like put some emphasis on here is like there's a really important understanding to what it is that privacy is supposed to mean and why it is that it could guide the direction of Penumbra going forward. And it's actually this line right here. If privacy is the freedom to selectively reveal oneself to the world, then freedom is the ability not only to increase one's degrees of possibility, but as well to decrease the potential for dominance. Without this definition, any economic regime is not free and it's not unstoppable. And with Penumbra itself, built around the principle that it could become a part of everything else and interact with everything else by affording privacy to everything else, it actually does make all of crypto an unstoppable private economy. So this is kind of like the goal of what it is that I've written here. Again, I really want to encourage people to read this and let me know what you think. Let us all know what you think. I have a lot of appreciation for those who contributed to my writing of this. My team at Radiant Commons, Henry helped review it. Several members of the Penumbra Labs team as well. Kate, who's the CEO over there, and a number of other members in and around the privacy kind of technological space, and who are like connected to Penumbra. So this is kind of what I wanted to share today. The main point to say is that like I hope that my hope is that this is sort of an expression of what happens when you build something that makes privacy maximally useful, and sort of to try to ask the question of what happens after that. Once you've created that thing, what can you do with it? This is sort of the idea for what it is that Penumbra can become, is that Penumbra can go from just becoming a tool that people can use to interact privately to a tool that is maximally useful to all of the rest of crypto as an account layer. So from there, Ember, I guess I'll hand it back to you unless there's any questions that are in the chat, which I don't quite see any, but.
Nope, not that I'm seeing. But I know that it takes a little while to like read through all of this, like have a look around, check the link to the forum post, and respond. Like we really, really want to hear your feedback. Actually, I was wondering, Gar, like you're usually, he just went off camera. He's usually in the trenches of doing this work, but I'm wondering if he had any thoughts about some of this like broader vision about like where Penumbra is going, and if we could hear more about that from your perspective. Are you open to doing that, Gar? Let's see if you're. Oh, thumbs up! Yay! I love it.
Hey, Gar.
Yeah. What do you think?
You're muted. We can't hear you.
Hang on. Okay. Try again.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. I'm sorry.
You're all good.
Thank you for that part. Very inspiring. Before I say anything else, I just want to echo, your sentiments about Henry. I only got to work with Henry for a short amount of time after I joined PL, but in that time, like, I found him to be incredibly inspiring. Just an amazing free thinker, and his fingerprints will be all over the success of Penumbra for the foreseeable future. And you've outlined like a lot of like exciting possibilities for the future. Park, you and I had a chat just before this, and I think it's really interesting to think about, while we're doing a lot of work on the user interfaces that expose the magic of the Penumbra protocol to our users today, it is really interesting to think of Penumbra as like also as partially an infrastructure layer that could bring the privacy that I think we all deserve as crypto users to many things other than the things that we build. And I think seeing that kind of proliferate across ecosystems and across products, I think that would be incredibly exciting. And very excited to continue the important work that Henry's done in getting us to where we are today, and to bring us closer to the vision that you just outlined. So I think we're all kind of aligned on that.
That's pretty cool. That's nice to hear. Obviously go read it and let me know what you think. But that's cool to hear from the PL team, and I appreciate you coming on here and expressing that. So hopefully more members on your team agree. I think there's been some conversations going on around this, but obviously it's nice to see it solidified and see what we can do next. Cool. Ember, did you want to move into?
Yeah, sure. So we were just going to kind of like, basically like grand vision and also like the work continues, right? So,
The work does continue.
So we have work happening on Prax version 2 that Gar was going to share about. So, Park, I'm going to give you a little break. And yeah, Gar, tell us more about what's been going on in that space.
All right, let me see if I can share something here. Slideshow. Okay. Do I need to do anything here, Ember, to get this? Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So some context for this. So Prax is the wallet that is used to interact with the Penumbra protocol. And in the last few weeks, I've been doing some. Sorry, I should say, just for anyone who's new to the call, I am a technical product lead at Penumbra Labs. And as such, I do a lot of work, reaching out to the community, talking to all of our users and gathering requirements for what comes next. And one of the things we've been thinking about a lot in the recent weeks is the next version of Prax, the wallet that I mentioned. So I guess as of 2 weeks ago, we sent out a survey to as many of our users and supporters, I suppose, as we could, to kind of gauge what the features that people would like to see in, oh yeah, Veil t-shirt, to see in Prax v2. So I want to share the results of that survey with you all. Thank you to anyone who's on the call who did actually respond to this survey. It was really great to see all of the really passionate responses that we got. There's a finish the sentence below question here, but there was also a free form question that I'll go into afterwards. And it's just really cool to see how much people care about like the tools that they use, the features that they want to see, and care about sharing their vision for what our products could be. So the first thing we did was ask our users to imagine that Prax had all of the features that you could ever want, and then to finish the sentence below. I open Prax to do what? You can see that there's a fairly even spread among the various features here that we supposed that would be useful for users in Prax v2. We're talking about things like adding support for multiple accounts, adding more full-featured support for managing sub-accounts, and then also, really importantly, the facility to connect hardware wallets to Prax to allow you to manage cold storage directly within the Prax interface. I think the results that you see here in front of you give us a pretty good sense that we're headed in the right direction in terms of the features that we are proposing. But then I think maybe even more importantly, the freeform question after that was, what have we not thought about, or what is really top of mind for you when you think about the current Prax experience and what it could be? So there are some recurring themes that I want to call out here. The first is multi-account and sub-account clarity, right? So not only are our users looking for more flexibility in how they manage accounts and sub-accounts within Prax, but also some clarity as to when they might want to use multiple main accounts and multiple sub-accounts. And that's something that we're taking to heart. And we're talking, frequently about what that experience would look like in the interface itself. The second theme here is some optionality in the assets view. Basically, we have different user personas that use Prax, same as any given product. Some people want to see, just their crypto balances. Some people want to see the NFTs that represent the positions that they hold in the trading interface. Some people want the option to swap, some people don't. But overall, the theme here is that people want optionality. So they want to be able to turn off clutter where they don't need it. We have also noticed that security features like auto lock are a recurring theme. So as you would be familiar with general crypto wallets, they will auto lock after a certain amount of time to keep your data and your assets safe, and that's something I think that's pretty low hanging fruit for Prax v2. custom account names. So when you are managing multiple accounts and multiple sub accounts, depending, regardless of why you are segmenting your funds into multiple accounts or sub accounts, it would definitely be useful to, in the Prax interface, have the facility to name those accounts such that you're keeping track of, this is my do not touch wallet, or this is my trading wallet, or this is my, I don't know, shitcoin wallet. So that is something that has been coming up. Definitely something we can get better at is providing better help material. So guides and FAQs for how to use the various functionality within the wallet. I think this is particularly important because, there are unique features to the Penumbra protocol that we will expose and we do and will continue to expose in Prax. So, again, thinking about something like sub accounts here, and we can definitely do a better job of making it really clear why these features should be and could be important to users and how users can get the best out of those features. So that's something we definitely took to heart. And then lastly, obviously we will have a continued focus on ensuring that the the performance and resource needs of Prax are examined to ensure that the wallet is accessible for everybody. You should never need a specific specific resources, or like you should never need too many resources to actually run a wallet and have the access to the network that we want everyone to have. So it should be, that's something that we should be keeping an eye on kind of at all times. So that's the end of what I wanted to share. What I will say is that one thing that came out of the survey that I did not quite expect is that you can see it in the top recurring theme there, is that there is some uncertainty amongst our users about what is a main account, what is a sub account, what is the difference, or what are the differences, and when might I use them? And so we will be sending out a follow-up survey to this one that will dive a little bit deeper into, first of all, what we personally think are the use cases for these account management like paradigms, and also kind of a way to allow us to gut check that with our users to ask, is this something that you would be using Prax for? Is this a reason that you log into Prax? And are these use cases that we assume to be facilitated by multi-accounts and sub-accounts, are they valid amongst our user base? So keep an eye out for that. We will be posting it. Ember, I hope I can rely on you to help me post that to Twitter, to Discord. And yeah, that should be coming up pretty soon. But again, thank you so much to everybody who took the time to respond. Your feedback is like gold dust to me as a product manager. It's the thing that's most important to us. And yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, and just to chime in there that filling out these surveys and giving good feedback is a good way of getting our attention and getting yourself flagged for the beta testing program, which we are moving into a compensated model for. So if you participate, if you give thoughtful feedback, that's how we notice you in the first place. So as an added bonus, if that's a thing that you're interested in, because we love our beta testers and they do a great job, and we're always looking for new ones. So just a heads up. Incredible. Park, I'm going to bring you back. Hi.
Hello. Gar, I did want to just express thanks first of all for all y'all's work on improving the wallet experience, and also going out and engaging with the survey and being able to interact with the public and with the community of actual users, right? It's kind of an infrequent thing, I think, that crypto protocols actually interact with users and try to play off of the feedback. And so I'm curious, if you were to idealize what that could look like in the future to continue building this relationship with users, is the survey model the approach you want to keep working with? Does the beta testing program make sense for you? Just before anything else.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think shouldn't leave dead air.
No, you can leave dead air. It shows that you're intensely thinking about the answer.
So it's not like radio. No, I think it depends on where in a product life cycle you are. I think if you're talking about a major release, as we are right now with Prax v2, I think the survey model is really important, because what you never want to be doing is you never want to be designing or speccing a product in a vacuum. We have plenty of assumptions about our user base just because, they form a subsection of the general crypto user base. And as such, it would be easy for us to make assumptions and build V2 of Prax based on what we think people want.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not the way we want to go about it. And so when we're talking about
hold on, you're telling me that you're not going to theorize the ideal user who might use your product. You actually want to interact with them and find out what they really want.
I'm not going to wax too poetic about the product management in crypto. I feel like I would be. I'm gonna leave it there.
I feel like what we really need to do is we need to start a new Twitter meme of the fact that what we're not looking for is product. We're not looking for marketing anymore. We're just only looking for product managers, because there's actually something that's really lacking in this industry.
I think I saw the exact opposite of that tweet just today, and it was said tongue in cheek, but
yeah. In any case, go on.
But yes, so what I was getting at was, when we're talking about a major version update, like a sea change to functionality in a product, I think it's really useful to have these consistent surveys. The other thing though is that users can get a little bit not bored, but you don't want to overstay your welcome with surveys like that. They're really important in moments just like now. But I think as you move to a more iterative product development process, so as we move to Prax v 2.1 or whatever it might be, then I think what's important is to build feedback mechanisms into the product itself. That's something that we have planned for Veil and will have.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So the idea being, currently we have, obviously in our Discord, we encourage users to drop in and provide feedback. But as our user base expands for Veil and for Prax, it becomes less likely that any given user will be, uses Discord, is in our channel, and is willing to take that step to provide feedback.
Yeah, you're pointing out a very stark reality within this industry, which is as much as we want the community to be our users, sometimes there's a little bit of a fuzzy barrier there, right? It's you actually want people who are using the product to be the people who are giving the feedback, not people who are speculating on the value of the technology to be giving you feedback, because there's bias in there.
Right. Yeah. So what I've given you is a very long-winded answer that is, for major versions and new products, I think being very close with very specific surveys is great. As you move to a more iterative model for maturing products, just making sure that the facility to provide feedback is as low friction as possible for users, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, I totally agree with this. And I think it meets very well with the vision of Penumbra being very focused on users in the first place, because it's important that if you have something that you can actually have users interact with, that they are considered first-class citizens in what that interaction can mean and how they can help improve it. This is something I think is sorely missing, I think, kind of entirely from the industry, to kind of harp on the joke you made, right? Is that it's very true. There's kind of a lack of, I feel this quite often, that there's the idealized user that exists in crypto, and there's no real awareness of who these people are and or whether or not they actually exist, right? It's the same principle. You build a perfectly economically rational system and you expect people to use it in a particular way. Well, it's people are actually not rational. So the same principle applies to designing things and going in there and being well, I expect people to use it this way. And they end up completely not using it that way whatsoever. And they use it in a completely different way that you're oh, well, okay. And sometimes that's actually where your product market fit comes from, right? Yeah. Is the discovery that there's actually another use case for what it is that you're using.
Completely agreed. And it's interesting, it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've been in crypto since 2017, and I remember even back then with when the ICO boom was happening, I remember harping on about UX is terrible. Why aren't people not focusing on this? It's just a bunch of it's a bunch of code that does cool stuff, but nobody enjoys using it.
Right.
And as that kind of has proliferated, I think in certain ways we've kind of designed as an industry, designed ourselves into a corner in certain ways.
Mhm.
Like when I think about, we had a really useful UX discussion this morning, and we were talking about like how we manifest our mental model of account management in not just in Prax, but also in interfaces like Veil and in Minifront. And at a certain point, and we were talking about like, well, crypto users are used to clicking at the top on the top right of a given interface to choose which wallet they want to interact with this interface. And like my question was, is that possible to do directly from an extension, and would that make potentially more sense? Now, I'm not going to make any comment on whether or not that is a valid like usage pattern, because we're still kind of figuring that out. But it did take some stepping back to be like, wait a second, just because all crypto users do this doesn't mean that this came about because it's the best way to do things. And I think we owe it to ourselves to examine that at every step.
So crucially, I even wrote this in my forum post, or I may have actually removed it because I thought it was like a little contentious and a mean thing to say. But I essentially said bad UX patterns that crypto is dependent on, or like comments about like bad UX ring kind of empty when you consider that the entire bad UX, the entire crypto UX is bad, right? Like the entire experience of using crypto is kind of poor. So if someone's like, "Oh, well, your UX is bad," which like we have heard before, and we've definitely drastically improved, and that's been kind of the most amazing thing about the continuous iterative process with users. It's like it kind of rings a little bit empty because it's like, oh, well, you're not considering the possibility that maybe the whole thing is bad. You're saying like it's bad relative to what, right? Bad relative to a bad experience. And so like the mission actually becomes to completely reconsider what it is that's possible. My thought here is that like one of the best pieces of tech that exists out there is Privy. Have you used Privy before, Gar?
No, I haven't.
It's a really great like login tech that has been developed that is like crypto based, and you can use it to like log into your wallets using your Google account, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So it like allows this like inter-authentication. And my thought is like, okay, well, the goal there is to like reduce the friction for how it is that someone's going to interact with it. But again, it comes back to the same point that you said. It's like, should we use path-dependent user patterns to create an experience? Like yes and or no, right? Like we don't need to be path-dependent on the bad UX of crypto, but we also can be somewhat path-dependent on good UX patterns that have been developed in Web 2 up to this point. There's no reason not to do that.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on the call here and showing us the like what's kind of planned for Prax V2. I know there's a couple other things that you have up your sleeve on your side that I'm sure we're going to be able to share on future community calls, and I'm very excited to talk about those when the time comes.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I think that's it for today. Is that it for today, Bark?
I don't have anything else. I think the forum post is a pretty big thing, and it took a lot of brain power.
Like unveiling, as it were, the future of crypto, like MBD. Take the rest of the day off, I think.
Yeah. I actually, honestly, I think I spent so much of the morning like staring at the screen, trying to make sure that the writing was good, that like I could have delivered it a little bit better. But I appreciate you saying that.
No.
Okay.
Everyone, please read the post, engage with it. We'll post it all over the place because we want to hear your thoughts, and we want you to be a part of this glorious future.
A glorious future.
Amazing. All right, I think we should sign off then.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate you attending, and we hope we'll see you on future community calls for the Penumbra ecosystem. Be sure to jump into our Discord, right, if you want to like join in on the conversation. And then crucially, maybe Ember put up that link one more time to the forum.
The forum link?
Yeah, that'd be great.
But if you just go to forum.penumbra.zone, it's the top post there.
It is the top post, and that forum should do with a little bit of a restructuring soon. I think is something that will be in the plans. But great. Well, thanks everyone so much for being on the call as well. I appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a great 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. Are we still live?